Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you are watching our world famous Stadia Pro predictions. And why are they world famous? The why is because we are famously wrong at them. So we're going to be predicting what games are coming to Stadia Pro in August. It's going to be a fun one because there has been a massive, large shaped curveball being thrown in as the Stadia Pro membership for developers, or whatever way you want to discuss it, that has been changed for this week. Or this month going forward. Basically, now it's in the developers' interest to get their games on the Stadia Pro because they get a 70% cut of the money which Stadia Pro makes each month. So the more games basically encourages more games to come on. So we just do not know how this is going to work. This could actually change things up even more, where we might not get them on a monthly basis. We could get them through the month. We could get them added at random sort of times. It could become a bit more like Game Pass. It could be just same as, nothing really changes. It'll just going to come in one big batch on one go. Personally, I hope they're going to use this as a relaunch of Stadia Pro, and we get games. If there's going to be 4 games, I prefer them to come one a week, to have something built up throughout the week. But that is what I'm putting out here. Barry, what's your take on it?
I think you said it. We just don't know what it's going to look like. Does it continue? We don't know where to pitch it. I do feel, that they do need to do something with Pro. I think probably, for me personally, I was finding that I was getting more value out of the Ubisoft Plus sub than I maybe was from from the Stadia Pro sub. So it would be nice to kind of see them shake it up a bit and do something that kind of maybe just gives it a little bit of fire, and maybe kind of re-energizes it, and kind of makes maybe some of us that have jumped away from Pro jump back in.
Yep, I think it is. There is going to be lots of potential here for Stadia if they get the developer support. More that on Monday on what has Stadia done now, but we will come to that. We're not going into any sort of politicky sort of things or anything like that, or just it is just a plain old. What do we think is coming to Pro? Have you got the wee spreadsheet here? And we'll go over last month's.
We will indeed. It's here we go.
Here we go. Oh, could you?
I'm just about to zoom in. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Here we go.
Oh, is that better, or do we want a little bit more? Do you want more? Do you want 200%? That's better, isn't it?
That's what she said.
So I guess we obviously have to give a recap of the dancing Duncan. He's dancing very clearly for a reason. Not only did he predict more correct games than anybody else in last month's prediction, he also officially won our Stadia Pro predictions last month, on the basis, in line with our usual rules, that he predicted a unique game in comparison to anybody else. So not only did he have the most that he got right, he also predicted something that was, completely unique. So Duncan, you won the
Stadia
Pro predictions for July. So obviously we had Moonlighter, Terraria, Darkside Detective. Not missing any, am I?
I don't think so.
Don't think I am. But that's that's where, as you can see, there was quite a variation of predictions, as we tend to have, throughout kind of the months of the Stadia Pro predictions. But obviously, it is a new month. It's new predictions. Obviously, we're clearly at that summer holiday period because it's me and you this evening. Rather than maybe the usual furore of Cloudy Team. but we've still got some predictions to come in. So I know Andy's in chat. He's obviously sent his predictions in, and we've also had Brandon's jump in as well. So I've got those. I'm going to flick over to the tab for August. So as we can see there,
I'm going to call something here. What did I say earlier in this week? What was going to be my number one prediction?
You said get packed again.
Andy.
And you said nobody can steal it. And if anybody names it, they clearly watched me and they stole what I said.
Yes.
So, Andy, you stole it.
Yes. I gave that in. Thanks, Eddie. We surely hope so.
Yeah. It would be a good one to... it would be a good prediction.
So, yeah. How many games? I'm going to max it out here. Since we've only got 6, I'm going to go for 6 because that was our rules before.
Yep. Okay. So we'll put a 6 in that magic box for yourself. And in the prep that I did earlier, I've listed 5.
Prep? What? What?
I know.
What? Prep? Get out from here. We don't do prep here.
I think I have to say the prep predictions is one of the few shows that I do prep for. The rest I'm fine. I can just roll with it. But these ones I need to have a little bit of a look. So yeah, I'm predicting 5. Obviously, as we can see there, Andy's predicted 5 and Brandon has predicted 4. So what I'll do is just there's no point in kind of obviously going through Andy's and Brandon's one at a time, as we go through ours. So we'll just run through those for everybody. So obviously, as I'm on Brandon at the moment, Brandon is predicting Destroy All Humans, Judgment, Ark, which of course I think may well be on a lot of people's lists out there, and then obviously Mafia 3. So some interesting choices there. So we'll see what comes. And then from Andy's perspective, obviously he's got Ark on the list as well. He's got Cake Bash, Get Packed again. Obviously that one.
Copying.
Yeah, so a little bit of coat sync action going on there. And then he's dropped in kind of 2 AAA titles at the end. So he's dropped in Cyberpunk, and he's also dropped in Avengers, which is an interesting one considering it's got that free-to-play weekend next weekend. And as we were just discussing on our Cloudy Roundup, we're not quite sure yet whether the Avengers free-to-play weekend is going to be locked behind Pro. Obviously, a high majority of the previous ones have, so you'd kind of imagine that it may well be the case. But obviously, we'll just have to wait and see what happens on that front.
I'm not going to speak for Andy because no one can speak for Andy. But I'm going to sort of defend him here. Oh my God, why am I defending Andy? But here we go. I think there is a possibility that we do get some big games on Stadia Pro just for the big relaunch of it in the eyes out there. I'm hoping next week we're going to get a blog post when we get the Stadia Pro games, just telling us the general consumer what is actually happening with Stadia Pro down the line. Is it changing, or is it just going to continue on as normal? Because the information is out there, and it'd be actually nice to just say this is. Even if it's just a throwaway line in the blog post, just Stadia Pro is just continuing as normal, and here that wee simple wording throws us a wee bone to say no, nothing's changing here. It's just going to continue the same, and it's not going Game Pass way or in those sort of ways where it's going to be a pure subscription. It's still going to be here you go, you claim each of these games and you get to keep them. So be interesting to see if there is any changes like that down the line. So that's why we may get some of these bigger games, or if they're going to maybe relaunch it.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's worthwhile saying, although there may be no indication, kind of from a subscriber point of view, that they are planning to make any changes. Obviously, some of those changes that they announced at the Game Dev Summit were solely kind of, it was very much focal on devs. So I think there's a little bit of an expectation, particularly on a lot of people's part, that what we've heard from from last week is purely talking to devs. There's more than likely going to, or you would hope or maybe guess, that there's going to be some level of communication on the customer level, maybe following some of those updates. So you've definitely got to wait and see.
Yeah.
So I'll.
Do you want me to go first? I'll get the nice and easy one.
Okay, then you can go first.
I'll get my Get Packed.
So you're going with Get Packed. Okay.
And the game stealer. The reason why I think Get Packed would be a good get here, or not a good get, maybe coming back into Pro, is obviously with the change in the model, and with the big push now for crowd play and crowd choice down the line. So I didn't see anything there.
Good.
With the Olympics game just being given to it, Get Packed was rumored, or it wasn't rumored, it was meant to be getting these Stadia only features in crowd choice and crowd play and all that down the line. So it would be great to get them back in there. It's a perfect game to get people playing on stream, and it is the perfect party game, and you could see people jump in and jump out from that over a couple of days, which is the new sort of model. So I think it might be a good thing for Get Packed to go back into that. And Andy, I actually said this, I think it was a Monday night I said this, to be fair.
Yeah. No, he did indeed. And of course, I think you mentioned, of course, that the additional levels are due to be coming in towards. They're coming soon, aren't they? To Get Packed. I think the next set of levels, haven't they got some space levels or something similar? Yep,
they're relaunching it, and it's coming next week. So it is.
Yeah, there we go. So,
and it's going to other platforms as well.
Yeah,
perfect. Because I just read this.
No worries. Do you want to give us your second one? Because I think if you go now, then I think we're pretty much in perfect sync until the end.
I am going boring again to start off with. I think it's time. Just put it down. You know what it is. Go on. Let's see if you're right. Everybody's going to be putting it down, I would say. There you go.
I wondered what way you were going to go, but yeah, no, fair enough. So you're going with Arc. I guess, of course, they did say summer. So, I mean, by that point, August, I guess we'll have probably the only other month, if it's going to hit the summer Pro game, you've got an outside chance that maybe it hits September if they still need extra time to make sure that it's ready. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good shout.
Cool.
I am going to kick off my my first prediction for August. So confusing. I've reused a doc that I use for the Stadia Pro predictions, and it's saved as April because that's when I first started the document, and I've got June in there, so I almost completely went off. My first prediction for August is Streets of Rage 4. I think having seen that being kind of included in other subs, it's been. Sorry, what were you going to say?
So you think Stadia might be a wee bit naughty again and drop a new game onto it?
I'm thinking so, because of it obviously does lurk elsewhere in subscription. So I think it's certainly something that potentially, could go in. And if they opt for that sort of new model, potentially, they've kind of obviously they've got the game onto the platform, stick it into Pro. Maybe there could be something there, but let's bang that one down.
Okay. So what next game are you going to go for there?
So my next game that I am going to go for, purely because I think it's it's just one of those that I think is a classic Stadia Pro title. in terms of that price point. And it is one I predicted, I think, 2 months ago. It's Cosmic Star Heroine.
Okay.
I think it's, what, 11 quid? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of got pro price written all over it.
Okay, should I go now?
Yep, so let's go for you.
Okay, I am going to go for... Can you go back to last month for me, please?
I can.
I am going... I just wanted to get the right name. I am going for Paw Patrol Mighty Pup Adventure Bay.
Okay, I'm going to cheat.
You're going to cheat. I think we're going to get a load of these child-friendly games straight onto Pro, and I think that would make a lot of sense with the new games being, or Stadia being on the new Chromecast and Google TV, whatever it's called, just to get some children involved there instead of Paw Patrol, like a TV show popping up. You get the thing. So that's what I'm going for.
Fair enough.
Can you guess what my next game is going to be?
Oh, are you going to go for that spirit horse thing?
Yes, the spirit horse thing.
I've absolutely butchered that title, but hey, I knew roughly where you were possibly going to go. Okay, so for my third game prediction, I'm actually going to go with Gods Will Fall.
Ooh.
Partly because obviously it's been on the platform for a number of months. It was quite well anticipated. I've actually not seen a huge amount of people kind of talking about it. There's maybe been a few people I've seen kind of pick up and stream it, but there's not really been masses. So for me, it felt like a really good candidate maybe to kind of try and get the uptake and the playtime on it with getting it into Pro.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, because I have done prep, I've got my games worked out here, but I'm always like looking at the games as I go. And Andy has got me thinking. Oh, you can put my Spirit one in now. It's more me just generally rambling away.
Okay.
With the change in model, there is. I think we're going to see a gas game pretty soon. For people who don't know what a gas game means, that's games as a service. So this is like your games like Destiny 2, Avengers, the game which you cannot mention on Stadia, Outriders, games like that. I think that is the perfect fit for the new model, but I don't think Outriders will come, and if it did come, it would be sort of thing. Avengers, I think it's too early for that, so I'm just talking. So there we go. I'll let you go now here. Killer Queen Black would be a great shout as well, Monkey Boy.
Yeah, I think it would. I'm just going to highlight, obviously, Kelly's shout outs there in the sense that we've got Chris Tales, she's gone for Street Fighter, Blue Fire was Blue Fire Pro this month?
Blue Fire was a pro game.
Yeah, and then she's gone same logic as you by the looks of it in Paw Patrol.
Yep, Paw Patrol. It's just because these Paw Patrol's been listed for coming to Stadia, along with Spirit and a load of these child-friendly sort of games. So I think it'll be really, really good to get these on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. And I know there's a lot of people out there kind of, are calling for more child-friendly games because it's, I think, particularly with it, multiple people having Google TVs in their home now, and obviously access to Stadia across more devices, with the way that they're kind of promoting it and saying, similar to how they do with the TV, maybe try this game. It's a great way if the kids are there, and I think one of us have said that before actually, in terms of kind of showing it as a top pick or play this next type thing and having a kids title. The kids they're gonna want to jump straight into it, aren't they?
Yep, exactly. So it's that is my thinking with it, is I think we're going to get a couple of these kid games straight on the Pro. I think it just makes sense.
Yep, no, it definitely does. So for my fourth pick, I'm going to go with the weird and wacky. It came from space and ate our brains.
That's what people say about us.
What weird and wacky?
No, our brains have been eaten because we don't know what we're talking about.
Oh dear. Oh,
what do you think about that game?
I don't know. My best description can be weird and wacky. I haven't picked it up, and I watched the trailer thinking, what on earth? Like, what mind did that come from to kind of create it? But then again, I'm saying that, I know there's been a few people that have picked it up and actually said that it's quite fun. So, it could be a good option for Pro.
Okay. I'm going for a reasonably big game here now.
Okie dokie.
It is time. It is time for the collection to be complete.
No way. You are not. Are you trying to tell me that you think before the end of this year we're going to end up with Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Also, Shadow has just had a big update on Xbox and PlayStation as well. So I think we might see the trend come over to Stadia as well, and we get Shadow of the Tomb Raider onto Pro just completed. Zero, I would love Dirt 5. For me, the music is completely gone now for Dirt 5 to come to Pro. I was thinking about it earlier in the week until yesterday, and then it was blown away for me, unfortunately. So I'm not going to be putting Dirt 5 down in my list.
And you could definitely.
I was going to say that definitely means it's going to come now.
Well, I was just going to say, like, price point wise, it's kind of, it's included in Humble Bundle. A lot of other platforms have got it down to 15 quid. It's in Game Pass. Obviously it's part of the Luna Plus subscription. There's logic in it. There's certainly something in it, but yeah, I totally understand what you're saying after the EarPlay Live event yesterday, and how maybe that the hopes of that have potentially dwindled. Okay, that brings me to my fifth and final game choice, which I have. Just let me make sure that I have. Now, gone for a bit of an interesting one. I've actually gone with Hello Engineer. Now, I know that it is in early access at the moment, but we have had a pro game that's been in early access previously. We had Ember, which was obviously early access, and that went into Stadia Pro. I think as a franchise, it's been really well placed for cloud. We've been really good at getting the Hello Engineer series, or the Hello Neighbor franchise series, I should say, in terms of those games coming into the platform. So that's the one I'm going to go. You're
going for Hello Engineer?
Yes.
See, my last one, even though I was talking about Outriders makes 100% sense, but I think with the shambolic nature of how Outriders is on Stadia, I am saying no. To that, I am going to go for my last pick, and I'm just going to sit here and scratch my beard here for a second. And before I will say Littlest Big Pet Shop, I was going to say, or you know what game I'm talking about. Little Big Workshop.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. You've definitely gone for a very kiddie friendly selection this month, haven't you?
Yep, I have indeed. I think that's where we're going to be seeing Stadia go. I think we're going to be seeing them one or two big bangers, as we call them, every so often, to like the Shadow of the Tomb Raider I've put in mind. But I think we're going to be an Ark, because Ark's been tapped up for such a long time. I think we're going to be getting more indies, and I think as the weeks and months go on, touch wood, that our pro list is going to get longer and longer and longer, and we're going to get a lot more games onto it. What I'm hoping down the line, we're going to be getting like between 10 to 15 games each month now with this new move. Touch wood. Again, this is why I've been a bit more optimistic this week or this month with the amount of games coming, because I think we're going to see a lot of indie devs drop their games onto Pro to hopefully get access to that.
Yeah, of course, and I think as well, we do have to be mindful of the fact that we're obviously technically, there's no technically about it. We're going into month 8 of the year. We'll be partway through Q3, and we're a little over 50% of the way through the announced kind of 100 titles coming in 2021, which kind of obviously does mean that certainly for the last 4 months of the year, we're probably going to have a steady drip feed of games coming, through that period, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to be we should be starting to see the game releases step up a notch now. We're meant to be getting 100 games onto Stadia, and we're coming into the fun season now where it's come September, sort of. It's really strange. It's come September. It's only like a month away now. Game releases should be bang, 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 because that is when all the games start to come out.
Yep.
What I would be interested to see is if we start seeing Ubisoft games come to Stadia Pro, because there's a couple of games there which could make a killing under this new way Stadia set up. Could you imagine Rainbow Six Siege drop onto it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. With the way you're obviously going to have to level up, and everything within Siege, you'd certainly see it. You're going to see people come back day after day, so they would technically hit the Stadia Play days, in that sense, in that way of working. It would be interesting. It would also be interesting actually to see, and I think Happy mentioned this, further up in the chat, whether maybe now is the right time. Obviously he was talking about the fact that obviously Xbox have got EA Play included. Is maybe now the time with this kind of change in maybe the deal, where maybe Ubisoft broker a deal in the fashion of an extension of Stadia Pro, but then encompassing Ubisoft Plus, and then obviously taking a cut of that rev. But I mean, it's that again, that's difficult to see, because obviously as an individual service, Ubisoft Plus, they collect their $11-12 a month, however, depending where you are in the world, and they get to recoup pretty much all of that, through that, their own service. So I'm not convinced, but hey. And I was going to just bring up Charles. Charles is thrown in some predictions for us. So he's gone with Control. He's gone with the Olympics game, obviously with the Olympics kicking off today, I believe. Super Furry Animal Royale, which we do know he's coming to Stadia, don't we? You're on mute, but yes, I did say furry. Isn't it furry? It's not just Super Animal Royale, is it? Super?
I don't know. I'm just going to make fun of you by saying furry.
And then Grime. So obviously, Charles going for 5. Is that no 4 games? I can't even count there. It's been a long week.
It has indeed. I think
no. Actually, I'm going to reprieve myself. That's why I said 5, because he said and Bloodstained.
I think Control would be an interesting one. It's if I'm Stadia at this moment in time, I would probably hold fire on bringing Control even to Pro. I would leave it till September for what has just happened in the last week with the other cloud gaming services. So there will be lots of comparisons down the line. And if Control doesn't go to Pro, which I think most of us are hoping it goes to Pro. If you want to hear something funny about Remedy, watch us last night. But Control is an interesting one. I'm a bit worried if they bring that to it now, there's going to be a big spotlight on it. And if it doesn't have the RTX, which we probably know it won't, it's going to maybe not look as good. So I would maybe hold fire with that, because that's just my opinion. And that, but I think Control would be a good get as well. It's just more the timing of it. It's about timing more than anything. But I think they're a good cause. I was actually thinking of putting the Olympics in as well, especially with the crowd play being added into it, because I think that would be really, really smart to do.
Yeah, of course, because they have, as we were covering earlier as well. Obviously, they've kind of rolled that out to for creators to sign up again, haven't they? So I guess if they're kind of sowing the seeds now to sort of say, well, sign up for crowd play, as a creator, and then kind of next week you get the announcement that something like that's coming, that's going to feature with the, that's going to have that feature with it, then it's a good shout.
Yeah. Let me just see here. Andrew Mama knows, yes. We mentioned that Avengers is free next week. We don't know if it's behind Pro or not. Chances are it is going to be behind Pro. Avengers is, despite us keeping it going, that it's a kids game. It's actually a pretty good game, but play in 60 FPS mode. Favor performance
over graphics. Yeah.
It makes a massive, massive difference. So when you go into your options, or go put it into performance, because yes, it looks slightly better, but it will feel a wee bit janky.
It's so much smoother when you kick the performance mode in, and it still looks great. I played through the entirety of the campaign when we reviewed it, at launch last year, and I played the entirety of the game in performance mode, and it looks brilliant.
Yeah. Also, on Monkey Boy, that's the sort of stuff we're going to be talking about on Monday. And if you want to read something in prep for Monday when we do What Has Stadia Done Now, if you go onto 9 to 5 Google now, they have a statement from Google about what had happened with the developers this week, which was put out there. Here's the way I would say it. When you read responses from companies, you read what they say and what they don't say. It's very, very important to do that. It's because you sometimes learn more from what they don't answer, from what they do answer. So I would go check that out. I don't want to get anything more into that at this moment in time.
Nope, definitely not. And I think it is worth. I know we've just spoken about it, and then we've just kind of come away from it to go back to it. I am going to talk up Avengers a little bit more. I will be honest. Since I finished the campaign, I haven't revisited it since. I think when they put Kate Bishop in, I kind of picked it up for a little bit then. But it got a really bad rap on launch, which was unfortunate. A lot of people didn't feel that it lived up to the expectations of what they thought. There were some people had issues with the fact that they didn't use the film star faces, and they've used different faces for the characters. But I think somewhere in there was an exceptionally good bundle of a game. The story was really enjoyable to play through. So I definitely say, with it being on a free weekend, go and pick it up and make up your own mind, and see how you enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the free weekend. So next week is going to be a good week, touch wood, for Pro members. You're safe anyway. If you get... you're going to be safe anyway. You're going to be access to the Pro weekend or the free weekend for Avengers, and you should be able to pick up some games as well. What I always say with the Pro games is always give them a go, because you just never know. You can just jump straight into them, have a bit of fun with them, and jump straight back out again. And you just never know what you would actually like, because cloud for me allows me to play different games which I would never normally play. And you may find a game which you fall in love with and you want to play more and more and more, a new genre, a new developer, or even just into these smaller and indie sort of titles. There's just good variety there. So next week, go enjoy your games on Stadia.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something I've spoken a lot about in the past is, there's been a lot of games come to Pro that maybe necessarily I wouldn't have personally gone out and bought, but because it was there as part of the subscription, you claim it, you pick it up, you play it, and then you kind of realise actually, this is a great game. I've really enjoyed it. And some of the best games that I played last year were in fact indie games or games that I picked up on, when in the Pro Sub, or at least had the most fun with as well.
Yeah, go check it out. And we are going to be arranging. I'm going to put it out here. I'll make the call. We're going to be doing a play along in the coming weeks on Stadia. We are also going to be doing it on other platforms as well. So we're organizing stuff with other platforms, but we will be holding a Stadia play along. We're going to bring them back. We're not going to be bringing them back every week, because it just gets. It's a lot, because we've got so much on, but we will be doing them down the line. Unitrix, Sammy is how can you?
Super busy with work. I think his work life has kind of buried him in a stack of work.
Yeah, yeah. Basically,
it's the easiest way to say it, and sometimes it does happen, doesn't it? You kind of, your work life, unfortunately, sometimes kind of ramps up the pressure and whatnot, and you kind of find yourself in a position where kind of your free time dwindles a little bit in comparison to what it maybe has been at some point in the last 12 or 18 months.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't want to really bring to light any of this. It's not us just hiding things. It's Sammy's just extremely busy at this moment. He's going to be back in Cloudy, hopefully as soon as he can, which is hopefully, I'm hoping it's going to be a couple of weeks. If he needs to take longer, he's going to take longer. There is absolutely no pressure on Sammy of when he comes back. He's just extremely, extremely busy at this moment in time.
Yes, he is indeed.
So thank you all for joining us. Again, Monday's show on What Has Stadia Done Now should be a cracker. We have a lot to go through. So we hope to see you there, which is 8 o'clock UK, 3 o'clock Eastern, 1... Oh.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Or noon Pacific.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.